Dr. Han had been staring at her computer screen for 3 hours straight. Her eyes hurt and her coffee had gone cold, but she could not look away. The numbers on the display made no sense. They could not be real. Yet every time she ran the calculations again, the same impossible results appeared. She worked at Earth's Deep Space Observatory, a massive facility built into the mountains outside Seoul. Her job was to watch the stars and track objects moving through space. Usually, it was boring work. Asteroids, comets, the occasional piece of space junk. Nothing exciting ever happened. Until tonight. Grabbed her phone and called her supervisor. Her hands shook as she waited for him to answer. "This better be important," Commander said. His voice sounded tired. It was 3 in the morning. "Sir, we have a problem," said. "A big problem. I'm detecting massive spatial distortions near Jupiter." There was silence on the other end. Then spoke again, his voice suddenly sharp and awake. "What kind of distortions?" "The kind that happens when something very large enters normal space from hyperspace," said. "Sir, I think ships are arriving. Lots of them. I'm on my way. Don't tell anyone else yet." 15 minutes later, burst through the observatory doors. He was a tall man with gray hair and a stern face. He had been in charge of Earth's defense operations for 10 years. In that time, humanity had never faced a real threat from space. Earth had built warships and defense platforms, but they had never been tested against actual enemies. Showed him the data, his face went pale. "How many?" he asked quietly. "At least 300 ships, sir. They're still appearing." Pulled out his phone and made a call. "Wake up Admiral Park, Sora. Tell her we have a situation. Then get Captain Ryu on the line. We need eyes on this right now." Within the hour, Earth's defense network came alive. Captain Ryu commanded Aegis 7, an orbital platform that served as humanity's first line of defense. His station was equipped with powerful telescopes and sensors. When the order came through to point everything at Jupiter, he did not hesitate. What he saw made his blood run cold. 300 alien warships hung in space near Jupiter. They were massive, each one larger than any human ship. Their hulls were dark and covered in strange symbols. Energy readings from the ships were off the charts. Even the smallest vessel in that fleet had more firepower than Earth's entire space navy combined. Ryu sent the images back to command. Then he waited for orders, knowing that whatever happened next would change everything. In Seoul, Commander stood in the command center surrounded by screens showing the alien fleet. The room was full of people now. Officers, scientists, and government officials had all been called in. Everyone looked scared. "Do we know who they are?" someone asked. An intelligence officer stepped forward. "Yes, sir. We cross-referenced the ship designs with our database. They match descriptions from other alien species we've had contact with. These are ships." The room went silent. Everyone knew about they were conquerors. They had built an empire that spanned half the galaxy. Every species they encountered either surrendered or died. No one had ever successfully fought them off. "They're moving," another officer reported, "advancing toward Earth at sublight speed." "Time to arrival?" asked. "At current speed, 72 hours. A communication officer suddenly spoke up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the lead ship." "Put it through," ordered. The main screen flickered and changed. An alien face appeared. It had 4 eyes, gray skin, and no visible mouth. When it spoke, the words came through a translation device that made its voice sound cold and mechanical. "Humans of Earth, I am Fleet Commander of the Empire. Your planet has been selected for incorporation into our domain. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. All military forces must power down. All weapons must be dismantled. Your leaders must present themselves for judgment. If you comply, some of you will be allowed to live as servants of the Empire. If you resist, your entire species will be eliminated. This is your only warning." The transmission ended. The screen went black. Admiral Park Sara stood up. She was the Supreme Commander of Earth's Space Forces, a woman who had spent her entire life preparing for war, but not this kind of war, not against an enemy they could not possibly beat. "What are our options?" she asked. He looked at the tactical display. Earth had 53 warships. They had 300. Earth's ships were smaller, slower, and weaker. Even if every human ship fought perfectly and destroyed multiple enemy vessels, they would still lose. "We have no options," said quietly. "We can't fight them, we can't run, we can't hide." "So we surrender?" someone asked. "If we surrender, they'll enslave us," Park Sora said. "I've read the reports from other species. They don't show mercy. They work their slaves to death and then move on to the next planet." "Then we fight," an officer said. "We fight and we die with honor." Shook his head. "No, we buy time, we prepare, we look for any possible advantage." He turned to, "Keep monitoring that fleet. I want to know everything about those ships. How they move, what frequency their communications use, any weakness you can find." He addressed the room. "Get me every scientist, every engineer, every tactical expert we have. We have 72 hours to find a way to survive this. I don't care how impossible it seems. We're human. We're survivors. We've faced extinction before and we're still here." But even as he spoke, looked at the screen showing the approaching fleet. 300 warships, the most powerful fighting force humanity had ever encountered. And they were coming for Earth. Doctor had been trying to communicate with them for 20 hours. He sat in a small room filled with computer equipment, sending message after message into space. He was Earth's best expert in alien languages. He had helped humanity make peaceful contact with 6 different species, but they were not interested in peace. Every message he sent received the same automated response: surrender or die, no negotiation, no compromise. Rubbed his tired eyes and sent another message anyway. "We wish to discuss terms. Surely there is a way for both our peoples to benefit from cooperation." The response came back within seconds. "We do not cooperate, we conquer. You have 48 hours remaining." In another part of the command center, Engineer was having an argument with his team. They stood around a holographic display showing Earth surrounded by a network of satellites. "It won't work," one engineer said. "The quantum shield was never designed to stop weapons that powerful." "Then we make it stronger," said. He was young for someone in his position, only 30 years old, but he had designed most of Earth's defense systems. "We redirect power from every source we have. We double the output." "If we do that, the generators will overload," another engineer warned. "The shield might hold for 5 minutes, maybe 10. Then it all burns out and we have nothing." "5 minutes is better than 0 minutes," said. "Keep working on it." Admiral Park Sara walked through the orbital shipyards, looking at Earth's small fleet of warships. Crews were loading weapons and running final checks. Every ship was preparing to launch. The crews knew they were going to die, but they were going anyway. She stopped beside Captain Ryu, who had come down from his orbital platform to help prepare the fleet. "How many ships do we have ready?" she asked. "All 53, Ryu said. "I also have a volunteer crew ready to take out my reconnaissance ship, the Silent Dawn. It's fast and has good sensors. I want to get close to the fleet and learn everything we can about them." Park Sara looked at him. "That's a suicide mission." "Every mission against thee is a suicide mission," Ryu said. "At least this way we might learn something useful before we die." She wanted to say no, she wanted to keep him safe, but he was right. They needed information. "Go," she said, "but come back alive, that's an order." Ryu smiled slightly. "I'll do my best, Admiral." 6 hours later, the Silent Dawn launched from Earth orbit. It was a small ship, barely larger than a private yacht, painted black to avoid detection. Ryu piloted it himself, with a crew of 3 volunteers. They accelerated toward Jupiter, where the fleet continued its slow advance toward Earth. Back in Seoul, Commander met with world leaders in a secure video conference. Faces from every nation filled the screens around him. Everyone was asking the same questions. Should they evacuate Earth? Should they surrender? Should they fight? "We need more time to analyze the situation," said. "I've authorized evacuation of non-essential personnel to Mars and the outer colonies, but most people will have to stay. We don't have enough ships to move 8 billion humans in 48 hours. "Then what do? The President of North America asked. "We prepare for the worst and hope for the best," said. "Our scientists are working on defensive measures. Our military is ready to fight if necessary, and we're gathering intelligence on the enemy." "What kind of intelligence?" someone asked. Before could answer, Dr. Han burst into the room. "Sir, you need to see this." She pulled up data on the main screen. "I've been analyzing old satellite records from the past week. Before they arrived, there were unusual readings from Earth's magnetic field. Small fluctuations that didn't match any normal pattern." "What does that mean?" asked. "I don't know yet," said. "But the fluctuations started exactly 7 days before the fleet appeared. It's like something knew they were coming." Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, Captain Ryu's ship approached the fleet. He kept his engines at minimum power and used every stealth system the Silent Dawn had. Slowly, carefully, he moved closer to the alien warships. "Getting detailed scans now," one of his crew members said. "The energy readings are incredible. A single destroyer could level a city with one shot." "What about their propulsion?" Ryu asked. "How are they moving?" "That's strange," another crew member said. "They're using some kind of gravity manipulation. It creates a field around each ship that pushes against space itself." Ryu studied his sensors. Something was odd about the readings. "Are you detecting that frequency?" "Yes, sir. It's coming from all the ships. A harmonic wave on a very specific frequency. It seems to interact with gravitational fields somehow." "Record everything," Ryu ordered. "I want complete data on that frequency." Back on Earth, Engineer was running simulations of the quantum shield. No matter what he tried, the results were the same. The shield would hold for a few minutes and then fail. It was not enough. A young scientist named Lee approached him. "I've been thinking about a different approach," she said. "What if we don't try to block the weapons? What if we try to redirect them?" "Redirect planet-killer weapons," said. "That's impossible." "Is it?" Lee pulled up her own calculations. "The quantum shield creates a field that bends space. If we modulate the frequency correctly, we might be able to create a lens effect. The weapons fire at us, but the shield bends space and sends the energy somewhere else." Studied her work. It was brilliant. It was also completely theoretical and might not work at all, but it was better than anything else they had. "How long to implement this?" he asked. "If we work nonstop, maybe 30 hours. "They arrive in 24 hours, said. "Then we better work fast," Lee replied. Commander stood in the command center, watching the clock count down. 23 hours and 47 minutes until the deadline. Evacuation ships were leaving Earth by the hundreds, carrying whoever could escape. But it was not enough. Most of humanity would be here when they arrived. Doctor walked up to him. "Sir, I've received a final communication from the—" "What did they say?" "They sent us a list," said quietly. "The names of 47 species they've conquered. Some of the species are extinct now. Others are slaves. None of them survived with their freedom intact." Looked at the list, 47 civilizations. Some had been more advanced than humanity. All had failed to stop the— "We'll be number 48 on that list," someone said. "No," Admiral Park Sora said. She had just entered the room. "We won't. Because we're going to do something none of those other species did. We're going to fight back with everything we have. And even if we lose, we'll make them remember us." The room went quiet. Then slowly people started nodding. They were afraid. They knew the odds, but they were not going to give up. Captain Ryu's voice came through the speakers. "Command, this is Silent Dawn. I've completed the reconnaissance mission. Sending all data now. You're not going to believe what I found about that harmonic frequency." Pulled up the data. His eyes widened as he read it. The fleet had stopped moving. They hung in space exactly 200,000 kilometers from Earth. Their weapons were powering up. The final battle was about to begin. The command center had become completely silent. Every person stared at the main display screen showing the fleet. 300 warships hung motionless in space, their weapons charging with enough energy to crack planets. Every sensor in the solar system was focused on them, measuring the terrible power building inside those alien vessels. Commander stood at the center of the room, his hands gripped behind his back. He had not slept in 2 days. Neither had most of his staff. They had spent every moment searching for a way to survive, and they had found nothing that would work. Earth's defenses were too weak. They were too strong. Energy levels increasing, an officer reported. They're preparing to fire. Admiral Park Sora activated the fleet communication channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Park. Move to intercept positions. Engage the enemy on my mark." 53 human warships broke orbit and accelerated toward the fleet. They were small and fragile compared to the massive alien vessels, like children fighting against giants. But they went anyway, because humanity had never surrendered without a fight. Engineer and scientist Lee worked frantically in the shield control room. Arrays of computers surrounded them, all running calculations at maximum speed. The quantum shield network that protected Earth was completely untested at this power level. They had no idea if it would even work. "Modulation frequency set," Lee called out. "Generators at maximum output." "This is going to burn out every system we have," said. "After this, we'll have nothing left." "After this, we'll either be alive or we won't," Lee replied. "It won't matter." Captain Ryu piloted the Silent Dawn near Earth's moon. His reconnaissance ship was too small to fight, but his sensors were the best in the fleet. He watched the vessels and transmitted everything he saw back to command. "The harmonic frequency is intensifying," he reported. "It's resonating with local gravitational fields. I've never seen anything like this." Dr. Han sat at her station in the observatory, analyzing data streams from hundreds of sources. The strange magnetic fluctuations she had detected were growing stronger. They seemed to pulse in rhythm with something, but she could not identify what. "Commander," she called out, "I'm detecting massive quantum field variations across the entire planet. It's like Earth itself is responding to the fleet." Turned to her. "Responding how?" "I don't know, sir. The patterns don't match anything in our databases." On the main screen, the fleet's weapons reached full charge. Energy readings spiked to levels that made the human sensors scream warnings. Every officer in the command center knew what was coming. Those weapons had destroyed entire worlds. Cities, continents, civilizations had been erased by firepower. "All ships in position," Admiral Park Sara reported. Her voice was steady but could hear the fear underneath. "We're ready." "Activate the quantum shield," ordered. Press the activation sequence. All around Earth, satellites and ground stations came online. A network of quantum generators created an invisible field around the planet, bending space itself into a protective barrier. The power drain was enormous. Lights dimmed across entire continents as energy flowed into the shield. "Shield active," Lee confirmed, "holding stable for now." The fleet fired. 300 warships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Beams of concentrated energy tore through space, each one powerful enough to burn through a planet's crust. They converged on Earth in a wave of destruction that had ended countless civilizations before. In the command center, alarms shrieked. Sensor readings went off the scale. The human fleet tried to intercept some of the weapons' fire, but they might as well have tried to stop a tsunami with their bare hands. The quantum shield flared bright as the weapons hit it. Energy cascaded across the barrier in waves of impossible colors. The shield held for 1 second, then 2, then 3. "Generators overheating," shouted over the alarms. "We've got maybe 10 seconds before complete failure." But the weapons never penetrated the shield. They never reached Earth at all. Because in the exact moment they fired, something else happened. The entire fleet vanished. 300 warships, the most powerful fighting force in the galaxy, simply ceased to exist. One instant they were there, firing weapons that could destroy worlds. The next instant they were gone. No explosion, no flash of light, no debris field, nothing. Just empty space where the fleet had been. The command center erupted in confusion. Officers shouted questions. Alarms continued to blare. Screens showed sensor data that made no sense at all. "What just happened?" Admiral Park Sora demanded. "Where did they go?" "I don't know," the sensor officer said, his voice shaking. "They just disappeared, all of them, every single ship." Captain Ryu's voice came through, filled with shock. "Command, I had direct visual on the fleet. They vanished right in front of me. No hyperspace signature, no energy discharge. They were there and then they weren't." Dr. Han stared at her screens in disbelief. "I'm detecting residual quantum signatures at the location where the fleet was. But these readings don't match any technology I know. Not human, not anything in our databases." Stood frozen, trying to process what had just occurred. Earth had been seconds from destruction. They had fired weapons that should have killed billions of people, but something had made the entire enemy fleet disappear. "Check the shield," he ordered. "Did we do this?" And Lee ran diagnostics on the quantum shield network. Lee looked up, her face pale. "Sir, the shield was still building to full power when they vanished. We didn't cause this. The shield wasn't even operating at full capacity yet." "Then what did?" Admiral Park Sora asked. Nobody had an answer. Across the galaxy, other alien civilizations detected what had happened. The Empire's entire First Armada had been deployed to conquer Earth. It was their strongest, most experienced battle fleet, and now it was gone. Within hours, the news spread through every star system. Species that had lived in fear of them for centuries tried to understand what could have destroyed such a powerful force. Some believed humanity had a secret weapon. Others thought it was impossible and the reports must be wrong. But the Empire knew the truth. Their ships were gone. 300 vessels and every warrior aboard them had simply vanished near Earth. They sent urgent transmissions to their other fleets, ordering them to stay away from human space until they understood what had happened. Back on Earth, Captain Nam piloted his scout ship through the area where the fleet had been. He was collecting every bit of data he could find. The quantum signatures had detected were fading fast, but his ship's sensors were designed for exactly this kind of work. "Getting readings on those quantum signatures," Nam reported. "They're like nothing I've ever seen. The pattern is incredibly complex, almost organic." Organic asked, "What does that mean?" "I don't know, sir, but these signatures didn't come from any machine. They're too intricate, too alive." In the shield control room, Lee was going through the data from the moment they vanished. She called over to look at something. "The harmonic frequency the ships were emitting," she said. "Right before they disappeared, it synchronized with another frequency." "Another frequency from where?" asked. Lee pulled up a map. It showed hundreds of points across Earth's surface. Oceans, forests, mountains, deep underground locations. All of them had emitted the same harmonic frequency in the microsecond before they vanished. "From Earth," she said quietly. "The frequency came from Earth itself." Commander looked at the data. His mind raced through possibilities, rejecting each one as impossible. Finally, he called an emergency meeting with every scientist and expert on the planet. "I want to know what happened," he said. "I want to know where the fleet went, and I want to know what saved us, because it wasn't our weapons, it wasn't our shields, something else protected Earth." Doctor spoke up. "Sir, I'm receiving transmissions from the Empire. They're demanding the return of their fleet. They're offering peace terms." "Peace terms," Admiral Park Sora said. "They came here to conquer us." "They're afraid," said. "For the first time in their history, they are afraid." Stared at the empty space where 300 enemy warships had been. Humanity had been saved, but he did not understand how or why. And that terrified him more than he ever had. 3 days after the fleet vanished, Commander had not left the command center. He survived on coffee and short naps in his office chair. Around him, teams of scientists worked day and night, trying to understand what had saved Earth. So far, they had more questions than answers. Dr. Hen stood at a holographic display showing Earth surrounded by quantum field patterns. The patterns were beautiful and complex, like waves of light flowing across the planet's surface. She had never seen anything like them before. "The quantum signatures are everywhere," she explained to a room full of experts. "In the oceans, in the soil, in the bedrock deep underground. They form a network that covers the entire planet." "A network built by who?" someone asked. "That's what we're trying to figure out," said. "Whatever created this network, it's been here for a very long time. The quantum patterns are woven into Earth's basic structure." Scientist Lee raised her hand. "I've been analyzing the data from the moment they disappeared. The quantum signatures didn't just appear suddenly. They were always there like background radiation. But when they fired their weapons, the signatures activated all at once." Engineer pulled up another display. And the frequency that came from Earth matched exactly with the harmonic frequency the ships were emitting. It's like Earth detected the threat and responded to it. "Planets don't respond to threats," an older scientist said. "Planets don't think, they don't defend themselves." "This one did," said quietly. Agent had been sitting silently in the corner, listening to everything. She worked for Earth's intelligence service, and her job was to find secrets. Something about this situation felt familiar to her, like a memory she could not quite grasp. She left the command center and went to the intelligence archives. For hours, she searched through classified files, looking for anything that might explain what happened. Most of the files were routine reports, surveillance data, budget documents, nothing useful. Then she found a folder marked Sanctuary Protocol 2089 Eyes Only. The file was heavily encrypted. It took her another 3 hours to crack the security. When she finally opened it, her hands started shaking. She grabbed her phone and called, "Sir, you need to come to the archives right now. I found something." 20 minutes later, stood beside her, reading the files. His face grew more shocked with each page. "This can't be real," he said. "It's real, sir. This was a secret research project from 60 years ago. A team of scientists discovered something about Earth and they tried to study it. But the project was shut down and classified. Most of the researchers died before they could complete their work." Read the summary report. It talked about quantum networks, planetary defense systems, and something called the Gaian network. The scientists had theorized that Earth was not just a planet. It was something else, something that had been waiting for millions of years. "We need an expert to look at this," he said. "Someone who understands ancient technology and Earth's history." Nodded. "I know someone, Professor Shin. She teaches at the university and she's published papers on pre-human civilizations and unexplained phenomena." Professor Shin arrived at the command center the next morning. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair tied back in a bun. She had spent her entire career studying mysteries that other scientists ignored. When they showed her the Sanctuary Protocol files, she read them with growing excitement. "Do you know what this means?" she asked. This proves theories I've been working on for 20 years. Earth is special. It's always been special. What do you mean? Asked. Pulled up images of Earth from different time periods. Ancient Earth covered in ice. Earth when the dinosaurs lived. Earth during the age of early humans. Look at the history of life on this planet. Earth has experienced 5 major extinction events. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, climate changes that should have killed everything. But life always survived. Not just survived, it thrived and evolved. That's just evolution, someone said. Random chance. Is it? Asked. Or was something protecting life on Earth, helping it survive and grow? She pulled up geological data. I've studied ancient rock formations that show quantum signatures identical to what we detected when they vanished. These formations are billions of years old. This network has been here since Earth formed. Captain Ryu had been listening from his station. Professor, I scanned the ships before they disappeared. They were emitting a harmonic frequency that interacted with gravitational fields. Could that frequency have triggered Earth's defense system? Not just triggered it, said. I think the frequency was like an alarm. Earth detected something that threatened life on its surface and responded automatically. Dr. Han was running new scans of Earth's quantum field. If this is true, we should be able to detect similar signatures elsewhere on the planet, places where threats were neutralized in the past. She searched the geological record, looking for anomalies. What she found made her call everyone over to her station. Look at this, she said. There are quantum signature spikes throughout Earth's history. Here, 65 million years ago, right around the time the dinosaurs went extinct. Here, during several ice ages. Here, during early human history. What are we seeing? Asked. Events that could have ended life on Earth, said, but something mitigated the damage. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs was huge, but its impact was less severe than it should have been. Ice ages that should have frozen the entire planet were limited to certain regions. It's like something has been protecting Earth for millions of years. Captain Nam had been flying constant patrols around the area where the fleet vanished. His sensors were picking up faint traces of something unusual. He called in his findings. Commander, I'm detecting what looks like a dimensional pocket. It's tiny, almost impossible to see, but it's there, like a bubble in space-time. Can you analyze it? Asked. I'm trying, sir, but I'll need help. This is beyond my expertise. And Lee joined the analysis. Working with Nam's data, they managed to create a brief quantum tunnel that let them see into the dimensional pocket. What they saw shocked everyone. The fleet was there, all 300 ships completely intact, but they were not moving. They hung frozen in a strange gray space as if time had stopped for them. They're alive, Lee whispered. The crews are still alive, but they're in some kind of stasis. Earth didn't destroy them, said. It imprisoned them. Professor studied the images. A prison outside normal space-time. They were a threat, so Earth removed them from this dimension. They can't hurt anyone, but they're not dead either. This has happened before, said. She pulled up the quantum signatures from millions of years ago. Other threats were dealt with the same way. Earth detected danger and removed it. Felt like the floor was shifting under his feet. Everything he thought he knew about Earth was wrong. Humanity had not evolved on just any planet. They had evolved on a defense platform, a sanctuary designed to protect life until it could develop intelligence. Who built this? He asked. Who created a planet-sized defense system billions of years ago? We don't know, said. The technology is so advanced we can barely detect it. Whoever they were, they're long gone. They left Earth behind as their legacy. Agent pulled up the last page of the Sanctuary Protocol files. It was a message from the lead scientist of the original project, written 60 years ago. When the children are ready, they inherit the garden. Everyone stared at those words. Children, Admiral Park Sora said, they meant us, humanity. And the garden is Earth, said. We're not just living on this planet, we're its inheritors. The defense system that protected life for billions of years, that saved us from it belongs to us now. Walk to the window and look down at Earth below. A blue and green world, beautiful and fragile. Except it was not fragile at all. It was the most powerful defensive installation in the galaxy, and humanity had inherited it without even knowing. "What do we do now?" he asked. No one had an answer. Outside in the darkness of space, the Empire sent another transmission. They wanted their fleet back. They offered peace, technology, territory. They were desperate and afraid. Because for the first time in their history, they had encountered something stronger than they were. They had encountered Earth. The United Earth Council meeting room was filled with tension. Representatives from every nation sat around the massive table, their faces appearing on screens from all over the world. Commander stood at the head of the table, with Admiral Park Sora beside him. Behind them, a display showed the dimensional pocket where the fleet remained frozen in time. "The question before us is simple," said. "What do we do with them?" "Release them," the delegate from Australia said immediately. "We have the power to free the fleet. If we keep them imprisoned, we're no better than conquerors ourselves." "No better than conquerors," the North American representative said. "They came here to destroy us. They would have killed billions of people. They deserve to be punished." "But we have a choice," someone else said. "We can choose mercy. We can show the galaxy that humanity is different from the—" Admiral Park Sora stepped forward. "With respect, this is not about mercy or punishment. This is about security. The Empire still exists. They still have hundreds of fleets across the galaxy. If we release this fleet, what's to stop them from attacking us again?" Doctor raised his hand. "Actually, Admiral, I've been in communication with diplomats. They're terrified. They've sent 17 messages in the past day, all asking for peace. They're offering us technology, resources, even territory. They'll do anything if we return their fleet." "Of course they're afraid," Park Sora said. "We destroyed their most powerful fleet. As far as the galaxy knows, humanity has a super weapon. That fear is what keeps us safe." Professor Shin stood up. "But we don't have a super weapon. Earth does. And Earth acted to protect life, not to make us powerful. If we use this situation to threaten other species, we're misusing the gift we've been given." Listen to the arguments flowing back and forth. He had spent the past week learning everything he could about Earth's defense system. What he had discovered amazed and humbled him. Earth had been protecting life for 4 billion years. It had survived asteroid impacts, volcanic ages, ice ages, and countless other disasters. The quantum network that covered the planet had guided evolution, protected developing species, and removed threats when necessary. And now humanity had inherited that incredible responsibility. Engineer and scientist Lee had made a breakthrough the previous night. They had managed to communicate with Earth's quantum network, not with words but with patterns and frequencies. The network had responded, sharing information that changed everything. Stood and addressed the council. "Earth's defense system isn't automatic. It requires conscious direction. For billions of years, it operated on basic programming, protecting life without guidance. But now that humanity has reached this level of development, the system is waiting for us to take control." "Take control?" someone asked. "You mean we can command it?" "In a way," Lee said. "We can't control it like a machine, but we can guide it. We can tell it what we want to protect and what we consider a threat. The decision about the fleet is ours to make." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Dr. Han pulled up star charts. "I've been analyzing data from across the galaxy. They are not the only aggressive species out there. There are dozens of empires that conquer and destroy. If word spreads about what Earth can do, we'll become a target for everyone who wants this power for themselves." "Then we keep it secret," someone suggested. "Too late," agents said. Every species with deep space sensors detected the fleet vanishing. The news is already spreading. Within a month, every civilization in the galaxy will know something happened here. Captain Ryu spoke from his orbital platform. I've been monitoring communications from other alien species. Some are celebrating the defeat. Others are worried. A few are already sending diplomatic missions to Earth. They want to know if we're going to be protectors or conquerors. We're neither, said firmly. We're survivors who got lucky. We inherited something we don't fully understand, and we need to be very careful about how we use it. Admiral Park Sara looked at the frozen ships on the display. If we release them, we send a message that threats to Earth will be forgiven. If we keep them imprisoned forever, we send a message that we're cruel. Either choice has consequences. Professor walked to the display. There's another option. We release the fleet, but with conditions. We make them understand that Earth is under protection, not just from their weapons, but from all weapons. We invite them to study what happened here, to learn from it. We show them that defending life is more important than conquering it. They'll never agree to that, someone said. They are conquerors, it's their entire culture. Their culture is based on being the strongest, said. But they're not anymore. Earth is stronger. That changes everything for them. They can either adapt or remain frozen in that dimensional pocket forever. Captain Nam had been working with the quantum network, learning its patterns. Professor is right. I've been analyzing Earth's history. Every time it removed a threat, it was temporary. The dinosaurs died, but life continued. Ice ages came and went, but life survived. Earth doesn't eliminate threats permanently. It gives them time to change. Time to change, repeated. He thought about the message from the Sanctuary Protocol. When the children are ready, they inherit the garden. Humanity was ready, but what would they do with their inheritance? He looked around the room at all the representatives. I propose we take a vote, but before we do, I want everyone to understand what we're really deciding. This isn't just about This is about what kind of species humanity wants to be. Do we want to be feared? Do we want to be generous? Do we want to hide our power or share it? The discussion continued for hours. Arguments flew back and forth. Some wanted to keep the imprisoned as a warning to others. Some wanted to release them immediately to prove humanity's goodness. Others wanted to study them first, learn everything they could about technology and tactics. Finally called for the vote. The result was narrow but clear. Humanity would release the fleet, but with conditions. The Empire would sign a peace treaty. They would open their borders to human observers. They would share information about other threats in the galaxy. And most importantly, they would help Earth establish a council of species dedicated to protecting life rather than conquering it. Doctor transmitted the terms to the diplomats. The response came within minutes. They agreed to everything. Engineer and scientist Lee worked with the quantum network to release the fleet. It was delicate work, carefully opening the dimensional pocket and allowing time to flow normally again for the imprisoned ships. When the crews were freed, they found themselves exactly where they had been, but 5 days had passed. Their weapons were still charged, their fleet still ready for battle. For a moment, everyone on Earth held their breath, wondering if they would attack again. Instead, they powered down their weapons. Their fleet commander sent a transmission directly to Earth. We came as conquerors, the message said. We leave as students. The Empire has ruled through strength for 10,000 years. Today we learned that true strength is not the power to destroy, but the power to preserve. We accept your terms and we thank you for the lesson. The fleet turned and began the long journey back to their home worlds. They would never threaten Earth again. Commander stood in the observatory with Dr. Han, watching the ships depart. The quantum signatures around Earth had settled back to their normal patterns, invisible to anyone who did not know to look for them. "Do you think we made the right choice?" asked. "I think we made a human choice," said. "We could have used fear to control the galaxy. Instead, we chose to offer a different path." Other species will come, said. Some will be friendly, some won't. We'll face this decision again. I know, said, but now we understand what Earth really is. It's not just our home, it's a sanctuary for life, and we're its guardians now. Across the solar system, Captain Ryu piloted his ship past the moon, checking the last traces where the fleet had been. The space was clear. The threat was gone. He smiled and set course back to Earth. In her lab, Professor Shin studied the Sanctuary Protocol files, adding new information about what they had learned. The ancient builders of Earth's defense system were still a mystery, but their gift to life was clear. They had created a place where intelligence could evolve safely, where species could develop without being destroyed by cosmic threats. And now humanity had inherited that gift. They would protect Earth, just as Earth had protected them. They would study the quantum network, learn its secrets, and perhaps one day understand the beings who built it. Agent closed the classified files on her computer. The secret was out now. Earth was special. Humanity was special. Not because they were superior, but because they had been given an incredible responsibility. Admiral Park Sara addressed her fleet, ordering the ships to stand down from combat status. For the first time in a week, Earth's defenses relaxed. The threat was over. Her crews could finally rest. But they would remain vigilant, because now the galaxy knew that Earth could defend itself, and that knowledge would change everything. Commander returned to the command center one last time before going home to sleep. He looked at the display showing Earth from orbit, that beautiful blue and green world that humanity had always called home. "Thank you," he whispered to the planet, "for protecting us, for giving us time to grow, for trusting us with this responsibility." He could not hear any response, but deep within Earth's quantum network, patterns shifted and flowed. The planet that had guarded life for billions of years recognized its children. They were ready now. They understood. The sanctuary had new guardians, and the galaxy would never be the same.